And I want you to know that some of tonight's stuff is intended to be humorous, and some of it is serious, and sometimes it's hard to tell which at the time. But first of all, remember, I take your struggle and your disease seriously. Even when you're in my office, you know, I like to have good interaction with people, good humor, but also, I want you to know that I take your disease seriously, and I want to do my best to help you. Okay? Tonight, the topic is 10 or so, because I made my slides and counted, and I think there were 11. And then my wife got a hold of them, and then there were 9. And then bumped back up. So somewhere around 10 tips. Some of them are good. Some of them, you know, maybe not be exactly what you're expecting. And then when we get done, I'm going to have everybody get a chance to ask some questions. Obviously, we can't ask questions from everybody tonight, but we'll try to take some questions and see if we can just cover some more ground that way, okay? Because I can't cover everything in 10 topics. And there are things that maybe I missed that are important to you guys, all right? So let's get started. How about that? All right, so our first topic tonight is about serving size. I mean, you guys have been to the diabetes educator over and over, many of you, for years, okay? And I'm confident that they tell you about serving size. Now, when I was planning this talk, I took a trip to every grocery store in town. And I went through the bakeries and other places, and I looked at the serving sizes of things. And I want to tell you, this is not an individual serving. Okay, don't go to this store and buy this when you're feeling bad about yourself. Okay? We all eat when we're depressed. We all eat when we're anxious. And don't do that, okay? This is not a serving size. These are serving sizes, okay? Many of you have seen this before. And so one of the things to remember, you know, the diabetes educators give you these nice books. You can get these books that have exact serving sizes. It tells you how much is in an ounce, how much is in a cup, how much is in a half a cup, how many carbs are in each thing, okay? And so that's all good. But how many people sitting in this room brought their carb counting book with them tonight? Not me. So how do we know what a serving size is when we go out to a restaurant? How do we know what a serving size is when we find ourselves, you know, suddenly at the ice cream store? Okay, well, these are good ideas of how to know what a serving size is. So, for example, the size of your fist is about 1 cup, okay? And so that means a medium-sized piece of whole fruit. All right, while we're talking about fruit, how many people know how many carbohydrate servings are in a whole piece of fruit, like an apple or an orange? Yell it out. 2. Someone said 2, right? So, when you sit down to eat your fruit that is healthy, don't forget to cut it in half. Okay? Because the serving size is a half a piece of fruit. Okay? When we're talking about meat, we often tell you that we want you to eat 3 ounces of meat. Well, how big is a piece of 3 ounces of meat? I don't carry a deck of cards around. You know, they say, well, a piece of meat serving size is about the size of a deck of cards. Well, instead, we can use the palm of our hand. All right, now some of us have bigger palms, right? Some of us have smaller. If you have a big palm, use your neighbor's. All right? And you know, I have to confess, I never use this. I've never described this to a patient. I didn't really know about that until I started preparing for this talk. But apparently, the size of your thumb is about the size of an ounce of piece of cheese. In my mind, anything that's that small, it's not worth eating. Okay? So I just don't even pay attention to that. And then a handful, about 1 to 2 ounces of a snack food. And this is where we all get in trouble. Right? Snacks. My general question when I ask people is, do you eat breakfast or do you graze? Okay? Most people graze in the morning. And then they have a full-size lunch and then they graze in the afternoon. Okay? Grazing is bad. When you begin to have a snack, you have to plan ahead. Nobody can open a bag of chips and not eat it all. Right? You go to a Mexican food restaurant and they give you a bowl of chips. How many people eat only 5 of those? Right? Well, great. I've got some people that are good at it or dishonest. Okay? So, and my wife is back there, and she won't mind me telling you that she had gestational diabetes. Okay? And when we were learning how to carbohydrate count, now imagine, first of all, being gestational diabetic and being married to an endocrinologist. Lots of tears, both of us. Okay? But we'd go to a Mexican restaurant, and she'd eat the bowl of chips, and I'd say, well, guess you're done eating. Well, that's when the tears start. Okay? When you go to a Mexican restaurant, you go to someplace, you open a bag of chips. One of the things we got in the habit of doing in our house was taking those fold top or Ziploc baggies and filling them each with a serving size of whatever snack we like, and then putting them away. That way, when it was snack time, we could go and get one serving size and not be tempted by the entire bag. Now, that doesn't count the chips you ate while you were putting them in the baggies, okay? You got to avoid doing that. So this is, again, the same thing, just something a little bit more simple. We just use our hands, okay? Protein, carbohydrate, vegetable, great big, not fried vegetables.
One tip that's not on the chart there is never put more food on your fork than you can lift.
That's right. he said not to put more food on your fork than you can lift. I think that should have been my next slide. Let's see. Where's the projector at? This thing's not working. There we go. Okay. My next tip is about diet sodas. Okay? I could tell you that I don't drink sodas, but I have at least 2 people in this room who watch me consume 2 of these every day. Okay? So I do drink diet sodas. And people say, well, what about all these reports about diet sodas causing weight gain, or the diet sodas prevent you from losing weight? Okay? You want to know why you don't lose weight when you change from regular soda to diet soda? Every diet soda comes with a supersized fry. All right? That's why you don't lose weight when you change to diet sodas. All right? In reality, in all the best studies done today by what I would consider reputable journals and hospitals and places like that, show that diet sodas do not cause weight gain, and they don't reduce your ability to lose weight. Okay? Now, you can go on the internet and Google that, and you'll find 1,000 websites that say otherwise. But just because it's written doesn't mean it's true. All right? So be careful about what you read on the internet. And I'm going to talk about some more of those things later, okay? So this is why we don't lose weight when we change our diets, right? Because we go to McDonald's, and I get the number 2 meal. Anybody know what that is? Please say no. Okay? It's the 2 cheeseburger meal with fries. Okay? That's my meal at McDonald's, and that's a confession. But when you supersize it and get a diet soda, you're not helping yourself. Okay? Now, I meant to put this somewhere else, but this is what we're doing to our country. All right? I need to make a living, but not at this expense. Right? I don't need to see these kids come into my office. And we're going to talk about some of the other reasons why our kids today are gaining weight and why they're becoming diabetic faster than they were in your generations. Okay? And we'll get to that in a minute. Somebody needs to remind me that pointing this at the screen doesn't help. Now, this is what I love. One of my favorite things is to sit in front of someone and talk to them about not being able to lose weight. All I do is eat salad every day. Now, some people do eat a genuine salad every day. But I am not kidding. Go to a restaurant in this town and order something to eat and sit there for a while and watch the lunch crowd come. It is full of people who come in to get salads. But I promise you they're this. All right? I guess I can't say the name of the places, but some of the places in town that serve salads for lunch look just like this, all right? So avoid things like this. And so we're going to talk about accessorizing our food here in a minute, okay? We have to be careful when it comes to accessorizing. What are some of the things that we should not put on salads? Cheese, okay? A little bit of cheese may be okay, but fried onions, bad, okay? I don't even know what this is. Yeah, I thought it was bacon. It could be something else. It could be some kind of barbecue sauce. There are healthy things on this plate. A lot of them individually are healthy, all right? Those avocados, those are low carb, a little bit high in fat, but they're low carb. We're talking about diabetes here, all right? It's hard when you're talking about diabetes and obesity combined, and they usually go together, but we're talking about carbs here, okay? So there are lots of good things on here, but every one of these is in too high of amounts. You know, avocados in a high amount have a lot of fat. There is no amount of these that are proper, okay? Now, you put those on a bacon cheeseburger, and that's a good meal. But nobody in this room is allowed to do that, not even me, okay? I came from Texas. I was in Texas before I went to Africa. And lots of people in Texas like bacon cheeseburger with barbecue sauce and fried onions on top, okay? So we're going to do better than that in Montana. We're going to outlive the Texans. What's that? Oh, that way. Yeah, very good. Yeah, we're going to outlive the Texans, though, okay? Now, we're talking about accessorizing food, right? We talked about accessorizing food. These are things you don't do. This is something you don't do. First of all, when you make a sign to put up somewhere, be sure you spell it correctly, all right? That's the number one rule right there. That's what they're telling me. She's telling me to point this thing in the other direction. But gravy is not an accessory, right? There is no such thing as low-carb gravy, okay? To make gravy, you need either cornstarch or flour, right? Because nothing thickens meat juice like carbohydrates, okay? Plus, I've never heard of this until I got here. We didn't have pasties in Texas or Rwanda. Now, what would be something good to accessorize your food with? All right? This is a great salad topper if you like a little bit of spicy, right? So things that are low carb, vinegar, some healthy oils, olive oil, things like that. Even just a little bit of vegetable oil with some vinegar in it is a decent topping. Salt. Now, some of you in here have high blood pressure and have to be careful with your salt. However, in general, for patients who are not having high blood pressure, salt, a small amount of salt is a decent topper, okay, for salads and things like that, okay? And if you add that to a little bit of oil and vinegar, it actually makes a decent topping. My wife is laughing because I haven't eaten an entire salad in my life, okay? However, going back to toppings, though, you can buy low-carb salad dressings, but you have to read the label. There's really no such thing as low-calorie salad dressing. You've got to have some fat in there to make a decent salad dressing usually. So read the label. Obey your diabetes educators. Read the labels and stay within your calorie count, okay? Now, everybody likes their coffee, and they like to go to Starbucks. Starbucks is equally as guilty as McDonald's. Sorry, guys. I heard somebody gasp. Okay? Yeah, that's okay. But it is, okay? I mean, you can actually go to Starbucks and get a drink that has almost 1,000 calories. Okay? That's more than half of most people's daily calorie allotment. Okay? But you can look at this, okay? This is a sugar-free syrup that you can buy at Safeway. Okay? And it's caramel flavor. There are other flavors as well. But this has, in 2 tablespoons, this has 0 carbohydrates. Okay? So that's not bad. That's adding some flavor without adding any carbohydrates to your coffee. So you've got to be careful about the little things. If you're a diabetic, even the little things will raise your blood sugar. People come in all the time and they say, I'm trying so hard and I don't have any idea why my blood sugars at 10 o'clock in the morning are so high. Well, sometimes they think that the stuff in the bowl at work is artificial sugar, and it's not. You know, I mean, if you're not the one who put it in the bowl, then you don't know what it is. Or, you know, they're just using a little bit of that, just a little bit of that creamer, or a little bit of that artificial, supposedly artificial sugar substitute. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. All right, so this is the normal stuff. This has 60 calories and 16 grams of carbohydrates in the exact amount. It's an entire breakfast worth of carbohydrates in a cup of coffee. That's a waste of your carbohydrates, okay? You need a good breakfast. And I'd suggest that you make it some form of solid food, okay? A protein and a carbohydrate. Most people, the dietitians will tell you, are okay. 2 carbohydrates and a protein serving for breakfast, okay? But if you do this, you're adding carbohydrates and then you're way up already off your limit for the day, okay? So we had talked about breakfast. To eat breakfast or to not eat breakfast. These are the best slides of the whole thing. Ready? I bought that at a store in this town, okay? Not only did I buy it at a store in this town, I stood in line to buy one so I could take a picture behind a line of people. That means people are lined up to buy this. It should not. Nobody should buy this. I don't care if you're a diabetic or not. This is illegal, okay? And in case you can't see back there from the very back, this is Coco Puffs on an eclair. And this is a mixture of Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms on an eclair, all right? Do not give this to your child, okay? This is a better breakfast. Now everybody's like, okay? But you can accessorize yogurt. First of all, yogurt comes in a lot of flavors, and it comes in a variety of different calories, right? You can get all the way down to very low-calorie yogurt, all the way up to Greek high-fat yogurt with granola and fruit. That's evil, okay? High-fat yogurt with fruit and granola is all the calories you need in a day. So enjoy it while it lasts, okay? This is complex, okay? This is ideal, but this is expensive, okay? That's the problem with eating healthy, right, is expense. Lots of things in the grocery store that you see for yourself are expensive. However, it's not terribly expensive, but the good thing about it is it has 12 grams of protein and only 80 calories. So you can have one of these for breakfast. And I will tell you, one of the worst things that you can put on your yogurt is granola. Granola is very high in carbohydrates. And don't be fooled by fruit. Fruit is healthy, but it's very high in carbohydrates. For type 1 diabetics, a little bit of fruit is good. You just take a little extra insulin. But, you know, type 2 diabetics, your diet is so very important. Those little things that you put on top of things make a big difference when you're type 2 diabetic. Okay, because you don't always have that fallback to take a little bit of extra insulin with your insulin pump or something like that, right? So you've got to be careful, especially as a type 2 diabetic, about all those little accessories we've been talking about. Artificial sugars. This is organic blue agave something. 25% sweeter than sugar. They sell this at Costco. Agave perfectly sweetens drinks, smoothies, desserts, sauces, and breakfast. The lady at the store insists that it is great for diabetics. All right, I'm not kidding. Out of her own mouth, she said this was good for diabetics. And it's appropriate that it was made in Sugar Land, Texas. Okay? This is not a sugar substitute. This is bad. Okay? 1 tablespoon. 1 tablespoon. That means this. maybe somebody with a bigger thumb. 1 tablespoon, 60 calories. Can you imagine anything else in the world that has 60 calories in a tablespoon? I mean, that's incredible. You put that in your coffee and you're done for the day. Okay? Now, talk about proteins. What are some good proteins? Okay? Everybody has to have a protein serving with each meal, right? That's what keeps us going. Carbohydrates keep us going, proteins keep us going. These are good proteins. We've got chicken. I know that we're in Montana. And I know beef reigns supreme. That's okay, I like steak. And I've heard many people refer to chicken as yard bird, okay? And I've heard many wives come in and say, he refuses to eat anything but beef. Well, that's okay, because beef is on here too, right? But it's not about the kind, it's about how much, right? You've got to watch red meats, because red meats raise your cholesterol, okay? But moderation, everybody. You know, we're not talking about a 32-ounce steak here, right, or a 16-ounce steak. We're talking about, you know, that much red meat or that much chicken, okay? And then other healthy things, eggs. I know someone I've seen recently who was told that eggs were bad. You could only have 1 egg. How often was it? A week, something like that? Eggs are healthy. They have some cholesterol in them. But that's what y'all take cholesterol medicine for, right? So, no, seriously though, eggs are not bad. You have an egg and a piece of toast for breakfast, and that is a beautiful breakfast. It is 1 carb, 1 protein, and a fat serving. And it's really not even that much fat, it's just cholesterol. Okay? And so, I mean, the dietitians are probably mad at me about that. But that is not a bad meal if you are diabetic and your goal is better blood sugars. Those proteins and that cholesterol do not raise your blood sugar. Now, if you're one of those people who come from a family who can look back and say, thanks, Dad, for those genes that give you astronomical high cholesterol. Okay, now that's a different story. We need to talk about that separately. But if you're a diabetic and carbohydrates are your problem, then be sure that you're adding healthy proteins to your diet. Now, that's healthy proteins. This is not a protein serving. Okay, that's bad protein. That's African protein. Okay? I did that for the kids in the audience, you know. I even forgot it was there. That is not a protein serving. You know what that is? Can you see it?
It's bacon donut. It's bacon.
It is a maple donut with bacon on top. Same grocery store. Okay, don't eat that for breakfast. Don't even stand in line for that. I haven't been here very long. Maybe 12 weeks, 13 weeks. I can't go a mile from my house and not see somebody I've seen in the clinic. This is a small town. I can't go to a grocery store. I can't go to church. I can't go anywhere without seeing somebody I've already met. Don't let me find you in line to get one of these, because I won't ignore you. Okay? My kids ate that, by the way, after I bought it. It was bad. Bad idea. But they knew in advance they were never going to get another one. When you grow up in a house with a dad who's an endocrinologist and a mom who had gestational diabetes, your future's set, okay? You're in trouble. Now, we don't believe, no, I can't. I was going to say something else, but I can't. Drinks. What are good drinks? Well, that's good drinks, but that's not what we're talking about. That's beer, okay? I didn't even go into the carbohydrates on this. The Bible calls that hypocrisy, you know, for me to start talking bad about beer. Because I drink some beer every now and then myself. However, this is the other, okay? Anybody know what this is from the backside? It's close. It's not Coke. Dr. Pepper. Yeah, I'm going to say, Coke is sacrilege in my house. We only have Dr. Pepper. And Diet Dr. Pepper. So everybody agrees in here that this is a bad drink for diabetics, right? This is bad. Okay? So this, it's hard to see, but it has 150 calories in 12 ounces, and it has 13 grams of carbohydrates in 12 ounces. All right? It's good when your blood sugars are low, someone said. That's true. But how many of you can drink half of that and stop? Not me. If I open one, the second one's coming quick. Now, you might agree, someone might say, well, this is good for you. This is what I give my kids. Okay? All right, the juice industry. Yeah, exactly. The Diet Dr. Pepper route is better. I don't know which of these is the right button. I'm afraid to actually turn off the thing. See? Told you I'd actually do it. I wanted the pointer. I think Sue went outside. She got tired of listening. Go back to slideshow.
The pointer is the center.
Okay,
I got
not slideshow.
it.
I got it.
Okay.
I can figure out the computer, but not the pointer. Okay. You said it was a side?
Center button.
Center button. Oh, well that. Okay. All right, so you can't see that from back there. All of you guys have cataracts back there. So calories, 120. You say, well, that's better than Dr. Pepper, right? But you're fooled. Don't be fooled. 8 ounces. This drink has more calories and more sugar than soda. You're not helping yourself or your kids by feeding them this stuff. Orange juice, milk. We're not helping ourselves or our kids by giving them those things. Water, 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 water. Okay? And we already talked about diet sodas. I am not against diet sodas. Just skip the French fries. Okay?
What about like Powerades and?
You know, you're getting...
Quite a bit of Powerade cereals.
You're going to get me in trouble because my wife brought home pictures of Gatorade and stuff, and I didn't put them in here.
Well, because I usually do the Powerade cereal, but I tried
That's
the
right.
G2
Mm-hmm.
with that, and it was really humorous.
Yeah.
What it did for my X3.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing I had done different.
Right.
Was I didn't.
Right. And you can buy low sugar and low calorie Powerade and stuff, okay? I mean, Gatorade tastes low calorie already, you know, but
Well, the G2 was supposed to be the 0 calorie
Right.
version of it.
but it does, some of those things, again, have those artificial or sugar substitutes. You have to be careful and you have to see which substitute is in it because not every substitute is calorie free, okay? Some sugar alcohols have 50% the carbs of regular sugar. Some have way less and some have more. Okay? You have to be careful about which substitutes are in which drinks. Okay? Important thing is read the label. Okay? Read the labels. Go to the store, read the labels. Pick, if you need a Powerade or something like that, or for your kid or something like that, read the labels. Believe it or not, my kids, we go through a lot of those drink packets from Walmart. Great value, great, you know, Crystal Light. Those are cheap. Kids love them. And if I get into them, then they're calorie free. Okay? Because I will eat anything my kids don't get. And so they have to hide their Halloween candy. Okay? So this is milk. People say, well, I give my kid milk. All right? Well, number one, if you feed your child milk between meals, they won't eat their next meal. Because milk has a lot of fat. And fat is filling. Okay? But again, we're diabetics and we're talking about diabetes. Okay? We're talking about blood sugars here. So don't forget, see, 13 grams of carbohydrates, okay, in 8 ounces. So remember the juice, okay, and the soda. Milk's not far behind. Milk has as many calories. It's less carbohydrates, but it still has as many calories as soda. All right, and I have a table right here. Dr. Pepper has 40 carbs in 12 ounces and 150 calories. Sugar-free juice has 46 carbs. That's the sugar-free, no sugar added juice. Okay? That's not that sweet orange juice that you buy where they put sugar in it. Okay? This is the sugar-free juice. It has 180 calories. Skim milk is better. It has 19 grams of carbs in 12 ounces. But don't drink it thinking you're drinking something carb-free. You've got to read the labels. And then it's 135 calories. So when you start talking about calories and weight gain for your kids, you know, because your kids aren't diabetic, so we're not thinking about this. But when you're talking about your kids, and you're looking at your kids and saying, why are my kids overweight? It's because you give them skim milk. Okay? And not only that, you fill them full of skim milk between meals, and then you force them to eat everything on their plate. In today's society, see, we were taught, right? I promise I'm not assuming to be as old as all of you, but I'm old enough to know that I was forced to clean my plate. Well, in today's society, I can't, in good conscience, force my kids to clean their plates because our portion sizes have gotten so big that we're delusional about what's healthy for us, okay? All right, so this is my passion. Some of you have been to me already practically in tears because you can't afford your medicines, okay? I'm old enough to remember the day that Lantus came on the market, okay? We were so excited, right? It was revolutionary, and it really was. But in the 12 years, 15 years now that Lantus has been on the market, it has not dropped in price by a single dime, okay? And it's expensive. And then people get put on all these brand new drugs, okay? So they're on these expensive oral medicines that you see on TV, and they're on these expensive insulins that you read about on TV, and their testing supplies are expensive. People can't even afford to be diabetic anymore. You can't afford to be sick, okay? And we're going to talk about a little bit of each one of those. I'm sure I'm way behind on time, but I think this is important information. These are the things that you see on TV. Lantus and Levemir and Byetta, all right? This is expensive. This is expensive. This is not, okay? How many of you are taking this insulin or something similar? Good. Novolin. Novolin N, cloudy. When you look at it, it's cloudy, okay? $25 a bottle at Walmart, okay? All right? Now, that's not for everybody. Don't come tomorrow to your doctor and say, I want on that cheap insulin, all right? But the point is this. Some of us were practicing medicine before these expensive drugs came out. And the average A1C in the 1990s, early 1990s, is the same as it is today. If you take all diabetics in these studies, and you look and see what their average A1Cs were in the 1990s, before Lantus, before Byetta, before Levemir, and you look and see what the average A1Cs of all diabetics in these studies today, nothing's changed. We're not taking better care of patients with more expensive medicines. We're just doing it more expensively, okay? Now, if you've got good insurance, let's stick it to them, okay? That's a joke. That was the joke. Please don't repeat that. I don't want the Obamacare people coming after me. But if you've got good insurance, let's use what's good. Let's use what's convenient. Let's use what's easy, okay? That's right. She said, well, what about what works? Again, they all work. But I am a simple person. Many of you have heard me say that. I believe in small changes and significant changes, okay? If you come to me and you say, Doc, I cannot buy food and insulin, then we're going to make some changes, all right? We're going to get you on something cheaper, and we're going to do our best to keep, not just keep your sugars the same, but maybe even better, okay? So this drug is $4 at Walmart. This drug is $4 at Walmart. Okay? This is $25. Testing supplies at Walmart, $25 for a bottle of strips. Now, that's something that I wanted to mention is testing supplies. Every insurance company, am I wrong? Every insurance company has a preferred testing meter. Generally. And they pay for those. Those of you right now who are thinking in your head, wow, I pay a lot for testing supplies, then either the pharmacy or your insurance company is holding back on you. You need to ask them, I'm paying a lot for this. Which one will my insurance pay all of or most of? Now, some insurance companies are harder and may not have a preferred, and there's a problem with that. However, Medicare universally, I think they're using TrueTrack now, or depends on the pharmacy. Okay, but Medicare pays for supplies. Now, Medicare has rules. I'm really happy that we have the United States government to tell us how to practice medicine, because otherwise we would probably do a bad job. Okay? But they dictate how many strips you can use a day. Okay? And we have to abide by that. Sometimes we can get around that by writing letters and stuff, and that's fine if we feel it's necessary. But there are cheaper ways to go. If you are uninsured, or if you are paying too much for your testing supplies, then Walmart does sell meters and strips for a reasonable price compared to others. Okay? You just have to ask for them. Okay? Okay. So this was in case I got somebody arguing about which insulin was better. Don't get me wrong, I like Lantus, and if I have a choice, Lantus or Levemir is something I'm going to use because they're good medicines and they're convenient. Okay? But the Novolin and the Humulin in Walmart is called Relion. The Relion N. When you buy it, it says Novolin until they change it. That's my favorite thing about Walmart is for about a year or so, there'll be Novolin that they'll box and package as their Relion. And then they'll change that. They'll change manufacturers and not tell you. The next time you go to get it, it's $90 instead of $25. If that happens, just say, is this your brand? And then say, oh, no, we were just giving you what you had before. But see, you've got to be your own advocate. You've got to be your advocate at the pharmacy, okay? Because they have thousands of people, and you have to take care of yourself, okay? This just goes to show you that the length of time that insulins work, okay? This is Levemir in these long dashes. See how Levemir works? It still has a peak right here in the middle, and then it goes out and it lasts about 18 good hours, okay? I'd say by the time you get here, you're not getting much use out of it, okay? And then the insulin glargine is this one, the dot. It's a little bit smoother and lasts a little bit longer than Levemir, but this NPH insulin, it'll peak in the middle of the day and then come down again by about 16 or 18 hours. And so it's useful. We can help you with cheaper medicines. Now, don't come and say, I want on all those cheap medicines. If you can afford it and you're using it and you're in good shape, taking it, let's not rock the boat, okay? But I'm just here to tell you that there are better ways. And the current pills, the pills that are on the market, they're good pills. But the American Diabetes Association says that if you're a type 2 diabetic and you don't have any kidney or liver disease, you should be on metformin, unless it makes you vomit. Okay? I am a firm believer in that. If you come to my clinic and you're not on it, I'm going to ask you why. And I don't care. I'm not going to make you go home and take it. I'm just going to ask you why and make sure that there's a good reason. Okay? Because it helps you use the insulin that you make better. Okay? It's the standard of care. Check your blood sugars. People say, what in the world does that matter? What if I don't check my blood sugars? Well, there was a study done that showed that people who check their blood sugars, when everything else is the same, have lower blood sugars. Well, how can checking your blood sugars lower your blood sugars if it's not a medicine? Anybody have any ideas? Yeah. That's right. He said bleeding. Yeah. You have less blood, so you have less blood sugars, right? So I agree. Yeah.
If you're checking your blood sugar frequently, you're more able to tell if your blood sugar is going up or down and to react to that before your blood sugar is extreme.
That's exactly right. She said if you're checking it often, you're able to react to it. It's making you aware of where you're at. If you don't know where you're at, then, and you're given an option about something to eat, if you check your blood sugar and you know it's 350, you might think twice about those French fries, right? But if you walk up and you order, you know, the supersize, and you're not checking your blood sugars, you have no reason to say, well, I'm going to eat it because I don't know what my blood sugar is and it don't matter, right? So check your blood sugars. And this is where Sue wants to chat a little bit about Tour de Cure, right? I'm not a big bike rider, but I'm a big advocate of this. So go ahead.
So St. Pete's had a team at Tour de Cure.
At Tour de Cure? Now mine's not on. Oop, there.
They don't both work. So we just wanted to let you know St. Pete's had our own team ride at the American Diabetes Association fundraiser Tour de Cure in September. And this is our team, and we raised $9,200 and something dollars. I want you to save the date for Tour de Cure, September 12th, 2015. There's a 5K walk, a 12-mile ride, 25-mile ride, 50-mile ride, and a 100-mile ride. But anyone is welcome to join the St. Pete's team. So if you want more information, just let me know, or go to the American Diabetes Association website at diabetes.org. We're going to open it up for a few questions and door prizes, but if anyone needs a door prize ticket, please raise your hand. Keep your hand up until you get your door prize
hand up.
ticket.
Also, the Tour de Cure will be a good opportunity to see your endocrinologist riding his Harley. Because I don't ride bicycles uphill or on flat ground, you know. Downhill's okay, but yeah. I will. I'll repeat the questions. All right. I have no idea how to select the person to ask the question, so I'm going to ask Cynthia. Where's she at? I want you to pick the people to ask the questions, because I can't be accused of being biased. Question right here. Now, hold on a second. We have people raising their hand to get a ticket and people raising their hand for a question, so I don't know how to tell which is which, but that's right. Okay.
You know, and I've got the same meter
Mhm.
I was using. I've heard that over time, they do lose their accuracy.
Yeah. Okay, so the question is how often should you replace your meter? I'm going to have to claim ignorance. I don't know the absolute answer to that. One of the things we have to remember is that the companies who make those meters make their money on the strips. If you feel like your meter is not functioning properly or is old, many times the company will send you a new one for free, right? And so if not, I know that we have some in our office, and diabetes education have some. But I would say 2 years is a good limit. Sue, I don't know the official answer. You don't either? Okay. Yeah, no, they're good for a long time, but they're electronic devices and they will have statistical errors. Okay, and so they're not, believe it or not, companies are giving them away. Okay, so call the company and say, I have your meter and I want a new meter because I'm using your strips. And if they say no, you say thanks, I'm going to go get the other one. Okay, because the other ones will give you a free one when you get a new order of strips. Okay? Again, economical.
I've been thinking about trying one I can rely on
Yeah,
$20 a year.
right. That's right. That's right. And yeah, the Reliant is a great option. If your insurance is paying for one, go with that because that's going to be next. Some of them are free, some you have a copay for. But if the Reliant is cheaper, use them. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I have been told that if you're over 65, it's better to have A1C closer to 7 than 5. Why is that
Perfect.
so? Is that true?
Well, I'm going to say that, yeah, I'm going to repeat the question. Thank you. She said she heard that if you're over 65, it's better to have an A1C that is higher, like 7.5, than it is around 5. Well, my first response to that is I don't have any patients that I would insist on pushing down to 5. If you have an A1C of 5, you're probably getting low blood sugars somewhere, whether you know it or not. Now, if you can get it down to 5 without any low blood sugars, then more power to you. You don't need to come to my office. But you can, because that'll lower my average, okay? And I can brag. I can use that for bragging rights, okay? But it's true. Now, the exact number is a moving target. The American Diabetes Association, in its guidelines that it prints out every year, they kill a lot of trees. They put out guidelines every year, okay? But the target is the number is a moving target. We have to choose an A1C that's right for each individual patient, okay? And even for the normal diabetics, the number's been changing here, you know, off and on. For older patients who are at high risk for low blood sugars, people who use walkers, who are at risk for falls, their A1C should be kept at a point where they're at 0 risk for low blood sugars, whatever that number is, okay? Because if you get a low blood sugar and fall and hit your head on the toilet, you know, you're out, okay? And that's not what we're here for. We're here to help you get the lowest blood A1C possible. So you're correct. Older people who are at high risk for low blood sugars should have higher A1Cs. And the same thing with the absolute youngest. You know, these 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds who are type 1 diabetics, their A1C shouldn't be 6.0 because that means they're probably getting lows. Okay? Next. Yes, sir.
Yeah, like I take my blood sugar at night, be 100, I wake up in the morning, 130.
130? Yeah. Well, maybe you need insulin. No. Well, here's the thing. Here's the physiology. He says he goes to bed and his blood sugar is 100 and he wakes up and it's 130. First of all, I'd say he's lucky because some people in here who are afraid to say so have blood sugars at night who are 100 in the morning, 230. Okay? Yeah. Well, believe it or not, some people do get up and eat snacks at night. Okay? But you're not. Okay? Our bodies are made that way. Our bodies, our livers have the responsibility of making sure we don't get low blood sugars at night. Okay? And so our livers make sugar through the night when we're fasting so that we don't get hypoglycemic. And the only way to turn that off is insulin. Whether that's insulin that we make ourselves or insulin we inject. Okay? And type 2 diabetics are insulin resistant. They make insulin, but they don't use it well. All that's saying is that your liver is not getting the signal when you're asleep to shut that down far enough. Okay? And that could be a medicine thing. It could be a snacking at night. It could be lots of things. But in general, that's how our body's physiology works. Yes, back there. Yeah, they cause diarrhea. She asked about the artificial sugar she's asking about. She wants to know about sorbitol, mannitol, inulin. Those are all complex carbohydrates that cannot be broken down in our intestines, but are sweet to our mouth. Okay? Mannitol is actually a sugar that we use in patients who have edema of the brain. We put it in your veins, and it sucks the water out of your brain and shrinks your brain so that, you know, patients who have strokes and have high intracranial pressure. Well, that mannitol is actually sweet to the taste and can be used, believe it or not. It's also good if you have constipation and you down a thing of mannitol, you're going to go, okay? Because those artificial sugars, some of them none of them are calorie-free, but each one of them is absorbed differently in the gut. Okay, and so you have to be careful about that. Using those sugar alcohols or those complex sugars, you have to be very careful with, okay? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not anti-aspartame. I am not anti-Splenda. Okay? Lots of people in this room probably are because it's not organic. Well, I bet it's organic. It has lots of carbons in it. Okay? It comes from, it's just remanufactured sugar in a lot of ways. Okay? I am not anti-artificial sugars. My advice is if you're looking for a good artificial sugar, the blue, the yellow packets, those are pretty good stuff. And they're 0 calories. Okay? So be careful when you're at the store and you're picking out these organic sweeteners. Okay? Chris. Yes. Okay, she said for those who can't afford glucometers and test strip, the health department does have them. She said glucometers were free and the strips were cheap. Now, of course, I'm saying that, but somebody may go and find that that may not be entirely true. I don't know if there are qualifications for that. So you might be able to ask her when this is over or call the health department and ask them. That's a great resource. Good. Who else? Yes.
New super concentrated insulin is coming out on the market.
Yes.
Do you think that's going to affect those who might be allergic?
Well, my guess is that if you are actually allergic to insulin, which I have seen patients, so yes, it's a real entity for those of you that are wondering. There are patients who can be allergic because these insulins are not, a lot of these insulins are synthetic. Currently, the only concentrated insulin we have is Humulin R, and that's probably the least allergenic insulin is the Humulin R because it's true human insulin. All the other insulins like Lantus and things are modified. And I have heard that they are working on a concentrated Lantus, and I expect that will be actually great for a lot of patients who are needing a more concentrated insulin because they're taking so much. However, I don't predict anytime in the near future that any new insulins that are true human insulins are going to be on the market. Matter of fact, they're probably migrating towards more and more synthetic. So I know that's tough. But the Humulin R, I don't know if you've tried that, but yeah.
My question is, I'm starting to get bruising now when I take my shots. How do I prevent that?
Which, I shouldn't ask, but which needles? Short, long, random? Almost everybody in here probably uses short needles. Yeah. Okay, so one of the things is I would obviously, if you were in the office, I would ask you things like, have you started taking anything that would thin your blood? For example, aspirin or, believe it or not, other things, there are other things besides aspirin that thin your blood, like fish oils. Well, that will do it, okay? Because aspirin is a permanent platelet inhibitor. One dose of aspirin is good for a long time. So if you're taking aspirin on a regular basis, that could be why. And maybe that hasn't changed. It's hard to say. Fish oils will thin your blood and cause bruising. Also, injecting, does it happen every single time?
It's starting to happen more like on my site. I have different sites that I do
Yeah.
for insulin, but it's starting to get like, my stomach is like flat.
Mm.
Inflammatory skin disease of any kind, eczema,
Yeah.
psoriasis, eczema more than others, or allergic types of reactions. You have a lot of capillaries that are inflamed in your skin, they're going to get more.
It's true. Yep. What's that? That's correct. That's correct. He's saying that bruises come from capillaries being hurt, which goes right along with what she said. Very good. Yes.
What about different injection sites? Does it affect the dosage of your insulin or how quick?
The uptake, yeah. Different sites do affect the absorption. There are sites like, your legs. When you inject in your legs, those are more metabolically active. There's more muscle and usually less fat in those areas. The abdomen is usually the site that most insulins use when they do their testing. And so most of their information about how fast insulin is absorbed are usually done on patients, research studies where patients did it in their abdomen or their flanks. And so that's why we generally recommend those. but other testing sites are okay. But I tell people if you're changing testing sites, be consistent, because each testing site can affect the absorption rate sometimes. And so if you're going to use your arms, use your arms. If you're going to use your legs, use your legs. And you say, well, I can't do that every time. Yes? Okay. So you can't do that every time. What I'm saying is, don't change every time. You know, leg, stomach, arm, leg, stomach, arm. You know, use your legs for a while, then change your stomach. Do that for a while, then change your arms. But be consistent generally from time to time, because that helps keep the absorption consistent and keeps the action of your insulin more consistent. Yes? One more, and everybody's pointing back there, so. I'm going to come back and have you tell me that again. I'm too old to hear back here. Yep, she wants to know why your blood sugar keeps going up. You wake up with a good blood sugar, take your medicines, don't eat, and your blood sugar goes up. Same answer as the other guy, insulin resistance. Okay, our body's normal physiology is to keep our blood sugars flat when we're fasting. Okay? But the people in this room are diabetic. There's nothing normal about that physiology. Your bodies don't use your insulin correctly. Okay, so your livers don't respond. They don't shut off like they should in the fasting state. That's why your blood sugars go high. Okay? Diabetes, when I see a diabetic, I think of two things. I target two things. I target your morning blood sugars, and I target your after your meal blood sugars, your postprandial, your after the meals. So you come in and you're talking to me, and you want to know why I'm like tunnel vision on one thing. So like I said, I'm a simple guy. Try to change one thing at a time. Because if you try to change everything at once, one thing that makes people angry is when you send them home and they get low blood sugars. Okay? They don't want to come back, or they call mad. And then it goes from, you know, I go from seeing 15 or 16 patients in a day to 15 patients a day plus 4 phone calls from angry patients about low blood sugars. So that's why I try very carefully to focus on those morning blood sugars or those after you eat blood sugars. And I wanted to comment about those morning blood sugars. And one last thing about economics. Most people get sent to me for 2 good reasons. Either their doctor sends them to me because they want their patient on insulin, and the patient doesn't want it. Or the patient comes to me because the doctor put them on insulin, and the patient wants me to be on their side and say they don't need it. Okay? But let me tell you the absolute truth. Insulin is a great drug. It's the drug for diabetes. All other drugs are still in the starting gate. Okay? They're expensive. They work. Don't get me wrong. Some of them work very well, and some of you are taking some drugs that are working very well. And I would not dream of changing that. But insulin, in my mind, you get 2 oral medicines, and then you get insulin. Now, you can come to my office and argue, and that's okay. I'll give in. I'm a nice guy. I want people to be happy in taking care of their diabetes, because if you're not, you're going to be non-compliant. So nothing I said here tonight is of absolute, concrete law. You come to my office and say, look, I've got to try everything else. Then we're going to do that, okay? I'm not stuck on one thing, okay? Compromise is the solution. My wife is pointing at somebody back here, and when my wife does that, I can't say no. Yeah. So I can't tell. What's up, sir? Hey, you know what? Jack Daniels is organic. Yeah? Does that help your blood sugars? Does it help your blood sugars? Does it help you? Well, I'm going to say, it depends on whether you're a funny drunk or a mean drunk. Okay? But, you know, he's talking about alcohol. A couple things about alcohol. There are, of course, alcohols that are lower in carbohydrates. Beer is high in carbohydrates. Okay, most beer. Beer is made from wheat products. Barley, rye, you know, whatever. Rye, not rye, but barley and hops and things like that. Those are carbohydrates. Plus, you put sugar in there, right? Because sugar is then converted to alcohol. That's how it's made. Okay? And so beer will raise your blood sugar. But the main thing about alcohol is if you're taking insulin, alcohol can prevent you from feeling low blood sugars. If you're drinking alcohol, you may get low blood sugars and not know it. And then if you're taking medications, there are medications that interact with alcohol. Metformin. Now let me set something straight here. I keep going, and I'm sorry, but I know I'm remembering things that I think are important. Metformin. That drug, I should have bought stock in that, but I was like 6 when it came out. But it's on the market again, okay? Metformin was taken off the market in the United States because of the ugly cousin, okay? Everybody goes to a family reunion and has that cousin that everybody stays away from. And if you go to a family reunion and can't find them, it might be you, okay? But metformin is the same way. Metformin was on the market 30 years ago, 40 years ago, along with a cousin drug called fenformin. Okay? That drug killed people. So they took them both off the market. And then Europe, they were smart enough. They took the one off the market that was doing the killing, left metformin on the market. Well, then 25 years ago or so, 30 years ago, we put it back on the market. Okay? Because it's not harming people. Now, metformin can be dangerous. But people come in my office all the time and say, I have to be off that metformin because it's hurting my kidneys. Okay? Metformin does not harm your kidneys. Don't let anybody tell you that. Now, the reason some people are taking off metformin is because your kidney function has dropped. Because of your diabetes, or because of your blood pressure, or because of something else. And when your kidney function drops, you have to go off your metformin because the metformin levels in your blood rise and it hurts your liver. Metformin does not harm kidneys. Don't come to my office and say, I can't take metformin because it hurts my kidneys. Okay? Because I'm going to put you back on it. Okay? Because it doesn't. It's not going to hurt your kidneys. All right? I get that all the time, and people never believe me. All right, we have a drawing here. Oh, I get to pick a number. Maybe let him pick a number. Did you get a ticket? Oh, well, then you can't draw. That's unfair. No, you keep. No, you're. Can I have your ticket? Yeah. All right, here we go.
Just pick one. We're gonna do one. Just grab one.
This is the last 3 digits. If I say the first 3 digits, we'll have 12 people say me. Okay. 3, 8, 5. 3, 8, 5. The last 3 digits. I'm going to read the whole thing just in case somebody's not paying attention. 3, 6, 9, 3, 8, 5. No. Is it Chris? Yeah, you want to just me draw again? Yeah, Chris works for St. Pete, so he doesn't get it. Impropriety. Nice lunch sacks. Ah, very good. Lunch sacks and holiday magazines.
Good magazine.
3, 6, 9, 3, 5, 3. There you go. All right. All those people out there going, why is he drawing from the bottom? I put mine in last. So I'm going to draw from the top this time. I always get mad at that. I'm like the last one to put it in, and they always draw from the bottom. 3, 6, 9, 3, 9, 6. 3, 9, 6, the last 3.
Is that you, Teresa? Woo!
I got to say, Chris, that's
You want
cheating.
it?
Yeah, that's okay. Anybody who cheated to get one of those? No. Yeah. All right.